So good. Welcome this afternoon. We're going to talk about global brand marketing. Okay, we deal a lot with SMBs, but the enterprise space is growing and growing and changing. And so this session is going to focus on two speakers who are going to tell us a little bit what's going on in global brand marketing. And our first speaker is David Putters. He's a global project manager web from Shell. David joined Shell 11 years ago, and where he worked 9 years in the marketing business. His initial role was on the regional level in the lubricants business, and he was responsible for the e-commerce strategy. His current role is Chief Product Owner of Web, Digital, and Marketing, and he's going to tell us what is going on in digital in Shell. Our second speaker is Eva
Ančić.
Okay.
It's okay.
I just asked her to make sure I said that right 3 times. Eva has the past years been running the marketing department of Addiko Bank in Croatia and has been working in banking for more than 15 years. During this time, she's worked on 100 campaigns and 2 very big rebranding projects. And I think that's also a very interesting subject because tomorrow, Paul Plant, in his session, is going to talk about the rebranding in our industry. And so we'd like to hear from both of you. I invite you both up on stage. And David, we're going to start with you.
Is the mic working? Hello? Nope. Someone have a coffee break? There you go. Much better? Thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm not sure if for you is the first time here in Dubrovnik. If so, you'll have the best experience. I mean, I'm the one dragging you off the terrace, so sorry for that. For me, it's actually the second time, and it goes back roughly 30 years ago. It was horrible. It was the worst experience. I kind of pushed it away. I've got Dubrovnik phobia until yesterday. I was 9 years old, and your parents took you to a location like this, walk over an old city wall, looking at boring old buildings, and going down more boring old buildings. Went back to the hotel, finally get something to eat. One of the worst things I've ever eaten. And not sure if anyone from the hotel was here as well. Sorry, it was exactly the same hotel here. But there is a difference if you're 40 years old or if you're 9 years old, because I'm definitely no longer Dubrovnik phobia. This is just special. This is amazing. I like the country, I like the city, the cuisine. So thank you very much for inviting me, because I'm done with that Dubrovnik phobia. So back on topic. Started about 4 years ago in my current role. And one of the responsibilities is responsible for the global station locator. And the global station locator is just getting all the Shell retail sites, making them visible on the web and on the app to our customers. So, but let me take one step back first and share a little bit more insights. What is Shell retail about? What it actually is. There you go. That's what external relations make me do. So have a read. I'll give you 5 seconds. And if nobody complains, you all consent with this. Perfect. Thank you very much. Shell Retail. What are we talking about? We're talking about the #1 mobility retailer in the world. We are bigger than 2 of our competitors combined, BP and Total. We are much bigger than them. Even Starbucks, they're well known, especially in the US. They are in every single corner of every street. We are bigger than them. We serve on a daily basis 30 million customers. At the moment, we've got 44,000 sites all over the world in more than 70 countries. That's what we are talking about. Am I here to brag how great Shell is? No, totally not important. This is just to share a little bit of insights. If you're a global player, this is what we're talking about, the magnitude. So if you want to know a little bit more about a global player, Shell is one of these companies. So although being #1, you want to remain #1. That's what we want to do as well. By 2025, we want to increase traffic. We want to have 40 million customers on a daily basis. We want to move into 90 plus countries with more than 55,000 locations, and we're well on the way. How are we going to do that? And we defined 5 different ambitions, and these ambitions will take us there. Due to the time, have a read through, but due to the time, just focusing on number 4, because this is, for me personally, the most interesting one. It's about treating every customer like a guest, not just on the forecourt, but as well on the digital world as well. So it's really easy to think about customers at the moment that they enter on your forecourt. But that's not always the case, right? The journey already starts earlier. It could be via our website, it could be via our app, of any other different channel that they liaise with us. So how customer friendly are we? If we tell about the great products that we have, because we do. Tell you about loyalty benefits that we're having, and we do. But we don't tell you where our sites are. Or even, we tell you where our sites are, but they're not there. They're 400 meters down the road. That's not right, is it? That doesn't make sense. So that's why we actively manage our sites and our site data. And we started off with the station locator on the left-hand side. This is our web. So if you want to know more information, where can I find my nearest site? What kind of services, what kind of fuel types, what kind of amenities do we have? Just go to the Shell website and there you go, station locator. Or if you're really fancy, download the app and you will find the same information over there as well. One of the most visited pages on our website is actually our station locator. On a monthly basis, we get almost 500,000 visits every single month. But we kind of find out it's not the only location where people are searching if they want to pump gas, right? They use other searches, ways to search, and especially the search engines, they are really big. Secondly, we received quite a few complaints from our retailers, but as well as the end consumers that are saying, hey, your data on Google Maps, it's just not correct. There's a wrong opening hours, there's wrong phone number or anything else. So we did not own the site data outside of our own Shell environment. And that was not as handy as we wanted to be. So we thought the biggest channels, they are Google, they are Apple. So let's engage with these companies and see what's coming out of there. So we kind of picked up our information, had to do a lot of manual work to get it ready and to send it off like Apple and to Google and see what's happening. But the moment that we send it off and it's actually published, with all that manual effort, it was already out of date. There was no process in place. So it kind of did not really work out for me. So that's when the conversation with NAVAD started. But they had to convince us first. So we said, let's go to the UK. It's a market where we have 1,000 sites. And let's see what you can do for us, what kind of added value you are bringing. Quite shocking what we discovered. Only 2 channels here, Google and here. I'm not overly worried about the red part. It's the inaccurate, not fun, I agree, but at least the sites are there, they are visible. We were more worried about the gray part, the missing part. So 15% on Google, 27% missing on here. That represents 150 of our sites or 270 of our sites. They were just not there. And that's a big problem. Because if you're not there, people can't find you. They don't go to your sites, they go to our competitors. And we're missing out a lot of revenue. So what other things came out of that pilot? Well, our station locator in the UK, they generate roughly 100,000 visits on a monthly basis. We looked at some stats from Google, and they generated more than 125,000 clicks for driving directions. And that is interesting, because if somebody visits your site, they close the window and nothing happens sometimes, right? If you click on a button called driving directions, you have the intention to go to one of our sites, which is getting revenue. So we're getting more revenue just from Google and the clicks for driving direction than just on a monthly basis from our own platforms. So the pilot we done with the UK made one thing really clear. If we really want to treat customers as a guest, we need to be there. We need to be not just on our station locator, we need to be out there. And our sites need to be found wherever customers are searching for where's my nearest location. So it's a no-brainer for us. We just have to do it. So, successful pilot, let's go into a global contract. Well, it made Lex happy, but as well it made me happy. So it's a win-win situation. And that's what I see the added value of just being here. It is a win-win situation in the end. So we can't just roll out and say, okay, we've got all the data on global level, we push it out to the markets, there you go, and we are live. Well, it doesn't really work, well, at least not for show. Some things are a little bit different. Well, if you look at this slide, you might see, okay, this is chaos. Well, yes and no. I mean, if you look at all the red scribble on there, it's not chaos. Actually, it's one line, and it has a beginning and it has an end. It's not always the convenient route, but we always get there. So it is manageable. It has its challenges, definitely. And I think the guys from NavAds know as well. It has some challenges, but it's still manageable. And we are getting there, definitely. So I kind of split it up into internal and external stuff. So if we look at some of the challenges that we have on the internal level, we're talking about different markets that we have. I mean, 70 plus markets, it's quite a lot, right? We don't have all the data from all these 70 markets. So that's one, we need to get the data. Before we start rolling out to a specific country, we need the local engagement. We need the approval from the local market. We need to inform them really well, because what happens if we just start rolling out and they already are doing some local initiatives, like with Waze or with Google or with any other of these partners, we kind of conflict. So we really have to convince them as well. But what happens if you reach out to a market and say, hey, although we paid on global level, we can just roll it out. Give me your approval. They say, hey, well, yeah, you kind of need some of the people on my team, but if they already have a digital marketing specialist, it doesn't mean that they can work with us and help us. They have their own priorities on the local level. So it's not always that easy to get the right engagement from the local markets. We have a complex organization as well. It's just not a couple of people that are involved. We're talking about the customer service center who needs to be involved, because they're talking to the end consumers and to the retailer. We're talking about the sales teams that really have to update the retailers so the retailers know what's happening. We have the marketing, the sales, the operations team, the network operations team. So all kind of people that need to be involved. And you know how it works with large companies. It's not that they need to be informed, but they think they have something to say as well, what kind of complicates things every now and then. Data ownership at local level. At global level, we just don't know if they sell V-Power or if they have a car wash or if they are open 24 hours. That all sits with the local markets. So we need the engagement, and the local markets need to be aware that if they make a change in their own system, in our Shell systems, it kind of floods automatically through. So all the information that we maintain internally, it's externally visible. So if you put in internal codes in the name, don't do that, because it's being sourced to other sources as well. It doesn't always help. And then we have countries that have a lack of engagement on the content. Our biggest market in the US, 16,000 sites. They don't maintain opening hours. Can you believe it? It's 2018. I don't have to convince you, right? But I do have to step out to these markets and say, you have to do this. And what are they saying? Hey, we've got 16,000 sites. You expect me to start maintaining that? Well, yes. You have to start maintaining that. It's one of the most important pieces of information, and we're missing it. So it's not always that easy. We have different business models. We have direct markets and indirect markets. We've got licensee markets like Brazil or Australia. It's just one licensee operating all these sites. They maintain their own information. We've got for our direct markets, dealer-owned sites, we've got company-owned sites, and all kinds of different processes that we try to fix in the end on the whole line. Then we are working with the retailer as well, so that's the external part. There's limited knowledge by quite a few of these retailers because they are just in the shop and they're trying to sell as much fuel and as much non-fuels retail as well. That's what they want to do. They're not that digitally focused. And the ones that are, they're looking at Google Maps and they start complaining, hey, you took control of my Google My Business account. I'm going to sue you if I'm not coming back. Well, I don't have to tell you which market that comes from, of course. But that is actually happening. So we have to work with them on the individual level and explain them, hey, it's not about Google Maps. It's one endpoint. It's an important one, but that's not it. And then you'll have some of these retailers that say, I'm already doing business with one of your competitors. I'm doing my own management. Well, keep in mind, A, we're paying for it, so hey, it's up to you. But as well, we have a full process in place. You have to get our site data updated in the Shell systems. If not, you're just updating a couple of these channels, but even our own station locator doesn't contain the right information. We need to be completely in sync. So we try to get all the people just in there, all the retailers, all on the same process. It's a challenge. We're getting there. So not only a lot of exciting things happening in the location space, in Shell Retail as well. So 1 minute left, let me share a little bit on what the future is about. We're looking into a delivery model, not just looking into, we've got 4 sites in the Netherlands, and we're working with Deliveroo at the moment. So you can just go online to Deliveroo, find that Shell site, and you can select all kinds of ranges of stuff from the retail shop. You say, I want to have some beer, some sodas, and some chocolate there, deliver it to my house. So it's not just people coming to our forecourt, we'll bring it to your home. Buy any packages from Amazon. In Germany, sites have Amazon lockers where you can get your package delivered into the site and you can pick it up at your own convenience. Different loyalty programs are being started up. More exciting, we're talking about the connected car. We're really talking about the future and what's happening there. We did a couple of things with Jaguar Land Rover. So if you buy a new Jaguar, there's already your in-dash Shell app and you can pay automatically. You don't have to go into the shop to pay anymore. It goes automated. You just select the pump and say, hey, there you go. You just fill up and you just move out. Very exciting. You see it on this slide as well behind me. It's the site of the future. Vancouver, that's where it's going to happen. 2019, the site of the future will be there. But don't spend too much time on the future. We're living the now. I'm kind of reliving my 30 years ago experience from Dubrovnik, and it's much better than it was 30 years ago. Hope you're enjoying it as well. Thank you.
Okay, when this story started, I was afraid, where is this going to end? And because I'm from Croatia, so you don't really feel good when you hear, when I was here 20 years ago, or more, 30 years ago, it didn't end very well. I'm very proud to be from here, and I'm very proud to be at this conference to present the Addiko Bank. I'm pretty sure none of you heard for the Addiko Bank, and that's why we exist only for 2.5 years now. We operate on 6 different markets, 6 different countries, and what we're all about is straightforward banking. What does that mean for us and how we live this straightforward banking? This is what I'll try to show you in this presentation. I'll talk about digitalization. This is a huge word in Croatia and in this region right now. And what does it mean for our clients? Right now, we are these huge dinosaurs. The banks are big. The banks are employing lots of people who are working the same way for a long, long period of time. And when you start talking about digitalization, the answer that you get from some of our colleagues, from lots of our colleagues, is, but we've been doing this for 20 years now. It's been functioning very well. But the world is changing, people are changing, and we need to change as well. So yeah, the biggest ones need to change, everyone needs to change. So I would say the number one word of my presentation will be change. I'm not going to talk about Uber or any of these companies, but what I wanted to say with this slide is that change, very, very quick service, fast service, and client satisfaction. This is something that we took out of this, and we would like to work on it, and I'll show you what we did in terms of fast, easy, convenient, and happy for our clients, good for our clients. What is the future for the banks? Information that in last year, from the European Bank Association, in last year, more than 9,000 branches were closed in the European Union. I think says a lot. Says that this change will definitely happen. In last 10 years, 48,000 of branches in the EU closed. So I would say that Scandinavian countries are the ones that are really leading this process. The same data says that Scandinavians closed more than 50% of their branches in last 5 years. So this change is happening somewhere more quickly, somewhere not. I would say that this region is not the region that is really accepting this change very, very fast, and it's not reacting like the other parts of the world, but still it's coming and we need to prepare for it. For this market here, I would definitely say it's about balance. Most of the data that we have here in Croatia and in the region, and when I say region, I would say Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, is that people still want to come to the branch. They want to talk to the people. They want advice. Whenever they want some complicated banking services, and by complicated, I mean maybe loans or any other investment deals, they come to the branch. This is not something they do online. So finding the right balance between the online world and the actual branches, that's the key, I would say. And having in mind that the last research that we did in Addiko Bank, when trying to figure out what is that people think about banks, is that 71% of people said they would rather go to a dentist than to a bank branch. Can you imagine that? So we have these huge buildings. We have people that are used to doing things for the last 50 years, and all of them would rather go to a dentist than come to our branch, and we are not changing it. I mean, we are, but it's a small process, and I'll show you how this goes. So in 5 years, the same number of people, 1/3 of the people believe that banks will not exist the way they are now. So we are expecting this change, we are changing, but we'll see how it goes. So competitive market, disruptive technologies, innovation. So this is something that we have to embrace and see how we'll use it. If we talk about Croatia, and I'm here to talk about Addiko Bank in Croatia, 78% of the people believe that digital transformation is a must for each company, for a company that wants to stay on the market. 61% want to do banking anytime, anywhere, and 50% of them said they already are using digital channels. So they're using mobile apps to do banking, and they want to do it. So I would say we have a good platform to do some change and to innovate. What's important? I would say that the focus is the most important thing to do. So you can't catch all the balls. There are so many things that you could do. If you look at other markets, there are so many things that are happening in the banking business, but we can't do them all. So we decided to focus only on 3 things. The first one is to simplify our offer. So what we did is we have only one loan, one cash loan, and if you want that cash loan, you need to come to the branch only one time with your ID, and you'll get the loan in 30 minutes. This is the offer that is the only one in Croatia. We are the only bank that can actually do this in Croatia. It doesn't matter if you're our client or you're not, but it's fast, it's simple, and it's really working. So we have only this approach, but this approach, we just managed to put all of our data and all the information that we need to approve these kinds of loans really fast and really simple. The second one is we decided to use some digital channels. So what we did, we use the traditional bank branch to open a new digital bank branch. So how does it work? So people still in Croatia want to go to a branch, but they say they want to use new technologies. So we opened some kind of a showroom. It's located in a shopping mall in Zagreb, and it basically doesn't have any cash in it. So when you come inside, there are no leaflets, there are no posters. There is this big digital table that you can see in the middle, and there you can find all information that you need about our products and services. There are small cards on the end of the table, on both sides of the table. So on one, there is, for example, this cash loan. You put the card on the table, and then you can find out everything about your loan. You can calculate your loan rates or get all the information that you usually could ask someone there. There's also one place in the branch where you can take a photo and see how straightforward you are. This is some fun thing that we thought maybe people would want to use when they come to the bank. Mainly kids use it while parents try to find out some information about banking. And in the end of the branch, you can apply for the loan yourself. It takes 15 minutes to go through the whole process, and there's an ATM. If it's approved, you get the money instantly from that ATM. So this is how we use traditional channel to implement some new digital technology. It's the first branch in Croatia like this. We opened a branch like this in Slovenia as well, and it's going on now in Bosnia and in Serbia. The other thing we changed is that we have on our internet site, we have the chatbot that's 24/7, where people can go through this process where they can tell us what they need or what they want, and we lead them through the process of getting a loan or opening an account or whatever they need. It's a very good tool to get some client information, lead generation, and they can also, in real time, schedule a meeting in any of our branches if they want to. The third thing I wanted to show you, and it's really the thing that we're most proud of, is the Addiko Chat Banking on Viber. So what we did, it's a platform that is one of the, I would say, first ones in Europe definitely, and it's one of the first ones in the world as well. So we decided we will bring banking to the platforms where the customers are. We will not wait them to come to our platforms, we'll go to their platforms. So on Addiko Chat Banking, you can actually, we have this public profile where you can log on and you can pay your bills. You can do whatever you do in M-Banking, you can do on our Addiko Chat Banking. So you don't have to go out of the Viber to do your bills, to pay your bills, to find out where are the branches, where are the ATMs, because that's still something that is important to our people, but the basic transactions you can do in Viber Live. When we launched it, it was very successful. We had also a huge marketing campaign, and we launched stickers as well. So I wanted to show you these banking stickers that we were also one of the first banks on the market that has the stickers. So straightforward, I'm paying you coffee. This one was my favorite one. I would send my husband, send me some cash, and then he would reply and say, I'm not your ATM. So we tried to make it a bit funny. And this is how we use this Addiko Chat Banking to go to our clients directly. Just to wrap up really short, I would like to say that what's really important for us is to know where our clients are, to know what's going on in the world, and to use this information to make it local. But even more important is to know your market, because if something is working even in Slovenia, it's not working in Croatia. So every market has its specifics, and I would say that from this process and everything that we did, we learned that not everything that's working on some other markets, what's working in the US or in the UK, can be applied on this local market. So to conclude, in 2006, the Time magazine says the person of the year is you. I would say that it's not about banks, it's not about us, it's really about you, it's about customers. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I have a question about personalization. So you just said it's about you. Mm-hmm. So you're both big enterprises. So how do you get to me as the customer? Okay, and Eva, if you answer first.
Wow, in Croatia it's very hard to get to you right now because this GDPR rules and all these things that we have to be as a bank compliant, it makes it really, really hard for us to do this targeted communication without your consent. Croatian National Bank is really, really watching us. So I would say in terms of, we are still using the traditional bank branches as a way where we do this first communication with our new clients. Mm-hmm. If you're not our new client, I mean, we use social networks. We're on all different platforms, but to market you directly, we first need you to come to the branch. And this is one of the biggest challenges that we are facing right now. And I hope I'll see some new ideas and new ways how to do it and to still stay compliant.
David?
For us, it's mainly around our loyalty schemes. So people actually sign up and say, yeah, I want to be benefiting from your loyalty. And that's where we are driving, but it's getting more and more personalized. It's not about you get 100 points here or you get 100 points there. It's more, hey, you bought twice a Coke in the last couple of weeks, so the next thing is we'll get a discount of your Coca-Cola. So we're really tracking what are people doing, trying to get to know them and really personalize all the offers that we are bringing them.
And another question, this morning we heard from BBC on targeting, I think he said millennials, but I would go to Generation Z, okay? And I think that's one of the things that our industry probably missed a few years ago, was always thinking about, our legacy and using as much as our legacy and, kind of milking the cash cow and not thinking about the next change. How do you do that from an enterprise? Are you thinking about the next generation and the next generation customers, not just me or millennials? Yeah.
Absolutely, and this is what we have in mind when we are developing these new channels. We are right now also working on some new platforms that will be only for people who are searching for doing everything online. So for those who are not willing to go to branches and who are not willing to wait, we are trying to develop some new platforms and new channels to come to them as well. But I'm not looking for an excuse, but when you're a bank and working in a strictly regulated system, it's a huge challenge as well. So,
David, what about you?
Yeah. I would ask the question, who's owning a car at the moment?
Who owns a car?
Majority. Who thinks your kids will still own a car?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Only a handful, yeah. So some of you might, definitely. You got the real car enthusiastic, that they're everything around car. But the younger generations are more about transportation. They have to go from A to B. They don't care about cars. So car sharing, for example, is going to be big. We have to make sure that we facilitate the transportation and not just think about cars. So there's a lot of things we're doing as well. Side of the Future is one example, and we're really looking into what are the next generation really looking for, and that's what we try to facilitate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions from the audience? Okay, I have one last question. In this whole transition and targeting and getting personalization and diligence, what do you think, what is your biggest challenge in the next 2 years?
People. There are two challenges. One is inside the company, just to change the way we're all thinking and just to change the way we are doing business. My company has more than 1,000 people, and most of them have been with the company for maybe 10 or 15 years since the Addiko Bank bought one of the banks that was on the market. So the change of thinking, the way of thinking, I would say that's one of the biggest challenges that we are facing right now. And then the other one is how to deliver new things and how to be on new platforms for new generation, and then still, keep in mind your focus and what you're really doing. So,
you mean people from a personnel point
Yes.
of view? And I think we have a session this afternoon that's going to talk about personnel also, and so I think all of us have that challenge. And David, I'm going to have you answer in a minute, but
Yeah, I have one question that I was wondering about. David, you were speaking about working together with Deliveroo, and I, for one, I own a car, and I hate fueling up my car. Is there any plans to have fuel maybe delivered in the future, instead of us having to drive to the site of the future, but actually the fuel coming to you?
I would use that service.
Great question, and I'm surprised people are laughing. If you would move from Amsterdam to Rotterdam, it's there already. It's called Tap Up, and it's an initiative that we are doing for about a year now. It's for end consumers. Tests were not that successful, so we migrated into a more B2B platform, where actually just fill up cars. You just leave it open, we fill it up, we close it again, and off you go, you get your receipt. So it is out there, and it's going to be looked at into different countries as well. So keep an eye open.
And could you answer the question then, the biggest challenge?
There are so many. I would pick out one, and I already mentioned a couple of challenges during my presentation. I think the balance between global and local, that's an interesting one, because there is a lot around the global teams come up with great ideas. They're not always fit for purpose. And like you said as well, what happened or works with one country doesn't work with another country. So where do you put the balance between rolling something out from global level and localized? So we have the word global now, but still, yeah, I mean, there is a split somewhere, and finding that balance between global and local, so you have the strength and the power and the speed of the global teams, but still the localization, and finding that one.
Well, thank you very much. It's been interesting. You're both with us for the next couple days. So if you have a chance to meet up with them and have a chat, that'd be great. Thank you.